Hi humans, it's Hannah Hearts Book 6, and today I'm going to be doing the 2 books, 1 stone book tag. This book tag was created by Sean the Book Maniac, and I saw the Curley Reader do it, so I wanted to do it too. Okay, so the first question is the second to last book you read, and the second to last book that I read was Sprinkle with Murder by Jen McKinley, and this book was so good. I believe I gave it 4 stars. It is part of the Cupcake Bakery Mystery by Jen McKinley. She also writes the Library Lovers Mystery and a couple other books, and I really liked this. There is a plot twist at the end that I didn't see coming, so always love that, especially with a cozy mystery, because usually they're kind of predictable, but this one really wasn't, so that was really nice. The next question, the second book from the top of your TBR, and I did this by looking at my Goodreads, and I put it in order from like the first book that I ever put on my TBR. And the first one was Bossy Pants by Tina Fey, and the second one was The Help by Catherine Stockett. And oh my gosh, I've wanted to read that book for forever. I've checked it out on multiple occasions and have never read it. I saw the movie and loved it, and I want to read the book so bad, but I don't know why I haven't. I really need to read this book, and maybe this summer I'll get it done, but I'm not going to make any promises to myself. The third question is 2 2-star reads, or I guess they're not really questions, they're statements, but the first 2-star read that I would have to list is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. It's a young adult mystery series, and I was wholly unimpressed with the first book. You get through 3/4 of the book before anything happens. Nothing is given away. There is no, like, it's a mystery, but you don't find anything out until like the last page, and it's not even that exciting. And I know it's supposed to be a series, but like most of the time with series, like you solve that piece of the whatever piece of the mystery, and then the next book there's another mystery, or like in the Harry Potter books where there's like a storyline and it gets wrapped up at the end, but it's still a series. And I don't know, it was really hyped, and I did not like it in the least. So yeah, Truly Devious, give that 2 stars. The other book that I gave 2 stars is, well, technically on Goodreads I gave it 3, and I said it was a 2.5. But if I'm being real honest with myself, it was a 2, and it was Little House in the Big Woods by Laura Ingalls Wilder. I know that I basically just broke her heart because she absolutely loves that series, but that book, oh my god, I would have rather watched paint dry, honestly, because there were pages and pages of her mom like making clothes, and her dad her mom shucking corn, and her dad like putting ammo in his rifle or whatever, and it was just so boring, and I couldn't deal with it. So yeah, that was a 2-star book, and sorry mom, but it was not for me. The fourth question is 2 great books by the same author, and I am going with Leanne Moriarty, and I'm going to mention Big Little Lies as well as The Husband's Secret. And I am the unpopular opinion, and I think The Husband's Secret is better than Big Little Lies. Yeah, I just said that. I know you might need to take a breather, but I read The Husband's Secret first, and the epilogue to this book like blew my freaking mind, and I loved it. And then Big Little Lies I read after the TV show came out in preparation to watch the TV show, but I still haven't watched it. But I liked this book, but I think I mean, I really did like this book, but I just think because I read this one first, it just, I don't know. I'm under the impression that the first book you read by an author tends to be your favorite book by them. In the case of, like, I really love Little Fires Everywhere more than I liked Celeste Ng's other book, and it's because I read Little Fires Everywhere first, whereas a lot of people like her first book and then they like her second book. But yes, love The Husband's Secret, and yeah, you should really read it. But both books are really good, and Leanne Moriarty is so wonderful, and I really need to read her new book, 9 Perfect Strangers. So yeah, these are great, and they're also really pink, so that's cool. The statement or question number 5 is 2 bails or 2 books you wish you'd bailed on, or 2 books you wish you haven't read. So I chose 2 books you bailed on, and those are kind of like DNFs. And okay, so I don't know what happened, but a couple of months ago, or I think last year, I decided to reread the Twilight books. I don't know why I did that, but anyway, I got about 200 pages into this, so I literally got about halfway through and just quit, because like, it was kind of nostalgic to read it, because I did read this book when I was in middle school, and I read the first 2 books and I was in love with them. But I don't know, I just feel like this is not the story for me these days. Like, my 12-year-old self loved this, but my 22-year-old self was not down for this book. DNF'd this one. And then this next one is Heart of the Matter by Emily Giffin. I think I just started to read it, and then it was during a time where I like just kind of forgot that I was reading it, and I thought it was good as I was reading it, but I just don't know when I'll ever come back to this book, so it's technically on my DNF shelf on Goodreads, and I don't know. I just don't know when I'll ever get back to this book. I love some of Emily Giffin's books, but other books of hers I tend to not like, so who knows with this one. Number 6, 2 favorite reads so far this year. One of my favorites this year was called Front Desk by Kelly Yang. I read it during middle grade March because it's a middle grade book, and it was wonderful. And it is the story of this little Chinese girl who immigrated from China with her parents, and they live in California, and her parents buy this motel, and she works the front desk, and just her story of growing up at the motel desk, and she really wants to be a writer, so she writes a lot of letters throughout the book, and just seeing her writing get better throughout the book, and just the stuff that she went through, because the motel is managed by this evil man named Mr. Yao, and he's awful, and it was so hard to read from him, but it was just a really good story. So the next book that I'm going to mention is Until Tomorrow, Mr. Marsworth. I read that in April, I believe, and I loved it. It was this story of this little girl named Renee Kelly, and she is a paper girl, and she has a paper route, and one of the people on her paper route is Mr. Marsworth, and she starts writing him letters, and they form this wonderful friendship, and Renee is trying to earn money to save so her brother can stay home from the Vietnam War. The book is set in the summer of 1967, and the Vietnam War is going on, and Renee also has a pen pal in the war named Skip that she writes to, and she is really determined to get her brother to stay out of the war, and Mr. Marsworth actually is a pacifist who does not believe in war, so it is their journey to try to keep her brother from the Vietnam War, and it was so beautiful. I cried by the end of it, and it was just so beautiful. And also, I should say that Until Tomorrow, Mr. Marsworth is an epistolary novel, so it's written in letters, and so it's so easy to consume, and I read the majority of it in a day, so it was so beautiful. And it's actually a Sequoia book. Actually, both the books that I mentioned, Front Desk and Until Tomorrow, Mr. Marsworth, are both Sequoia books this year, so that's really awesome. And if you have not read those 2 books, they are middle grade books, and so they're really easy to dive into. Number 7, 2 new favorite booktubers, and I will have to mention Cortagonist, who is the first YouTuber I've ever watched who talks about cozy mysteries. And as you guys know, I have recently, in the past year, since last August, have fallen in love with cozy mysteries and the genre in general. I don't know that many other people who are around my age that read them. She, I believe, is about in her mid-20s, kind of like me, and I know she's a little bit older than me, and she also lives in Oklahoma, not that far from me, and I desperately want to be her best friend. I know that sounds so weird, but yes, love Cortagonist. One thing that I love about Cortagonist, her name's Courtney. Courtney is so good about getting rid of the myth that cozy mysteries are for old people. And I know I make that joke all the time that I'm 60 years old on the inside, but I just think that the cozy mysteries are so wonderful, and I think they get a lot of slack in the world of reading because they're not sophisticated reads, but I don't care. And I just think they're amazing and wonderful, and they have good plot lines and great characters, and honestly great character growth, because most of the series are spanned over multiple books and you get to know the characters really well. So I love Cortagonist for that reason, and her debunking cozy mystery myths video is really awesome, which I will link below. And then also the Curley Reader. I started watching her videos last night and she's so wonderful. She has 3 young kids and she reads aloud to them, which as a teacher makes my heart so happy, because reading aloud and early literacy is so important and helps with the word gap and everything. Don't let me get on my soapbox, but it's so important. And she's just so wonderful, and her hair is so beautiful. I wish I had curly hair so bad, but this is just what I'm dealing with. It's, it's fine. The Curley Reader, she's wonderful, and I watched her audiobook recommendations, and I literally wanted to check out every single audiobook, and I don't even like audiobooks that much. So she just has a way with talking about books, and you can see her passion for reading and books through the screen, which I absolutely love. Number 8, a book you've read twice. And so a book that I've read twice is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. This book is book candy, as I would like to say. It's so cute. I love Peter Kay and Lara Jean, and I read this book last year in 2018. That was my reread. And then in 2017 I read it for the first time, and I read the whole trilogy. But I reread this book in preparation for the Netflix movie, which was so well done and so cute, by the way, and I'm so excited for P.S. I Still Love You, the next movie. But I absolutely love this book, and I remember getting into it the second time and being afraid that I wouldn't love it, and I loved it all over again. It's a little hard to get into at first, but once the whole fake dating Peter Kay thing happens, you get into it really fast. I'm stumbling over my words because I love this book so much, but yes, Jenny Han's great, and honestly, a lot of her books are really good. I don't like The Summer I Turned Pretty so much, but it's okay. That book was kind of old, so anyway, love it. Number 9, 2 fabulous quotes from books you've read recently. Okay, so a book that I read recently, because this book that I'm going to mention has a very special place in my heart, and I love to read it when I'm stressed out or going into a new phase of life. So it's Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. I know some people have their qualms with Dr. Seuss, but this book I feel like has been there for me for a long time, and I read this book the night before I started college. I read it within the last month before I graduated college, and read it while I was waiting for my new job, and so it's just got a really special place in my heart, and I think the message is so wonderful. So the quote that I'll be quoting is, "You'll be famous as famous can be, with the whole wide world watching you win on TV. Except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. I'm afraid that sometimes you'll play lonely games too. Games you can't win, because you'll play against you." I'm already getting misty-eyed because this book makes me misty-eyed every single time. But I love that message that it's you can be on top of the world, but then in the next minute you can feel like you're like flat on your face, because it's so true with life. And I absolutely love this book, and you should read it, and I'm sure you have, but read it to your kids, read it to everyone, read it when you're an adult, because you will find so much more love and appreciation for this book when you read it as an adult, because Dr. Seuss has some wise words to say. The next quote that I have is from a book that I have not read recently, but it's a book that I read a couple years ago, and it's a book that I never thought that I would love, but I absolutely loved, and it is Wild by Cheryl Strayed. And there are so many wonderful quotes from this book, and one is, "Fear, to a great extent, is born of a story we tell ourselves, and so I chose to tell myself a different story from the one women are told. I decided I was safe, I was strong, I was brave. Nothing could vanquish me." So I love that quote, because I struggle with fear a lot, especially in going in this new phase of life of becoming a teacher. And I feel like sometimes you can just tell yourself a different story and tell yourself, and honestly make yourself believe that you're not afraid, because sometimes fear is just a liar, and you can rewrite the story. Like, you don't have to live in fear all the time. So love that quote. Number 10, tag some BookTubers, and you have to tag the number of BookTubers, and it has to be divisible by 2. So my teacher heart loves that too. So I think I'm gonna just go easy, and I am going to just tag 2 people, because 2 is divisible by 2, and you'll get 1. So I think I'm gonna tag Cortagonist and also Krista from Books and Jams, because I don't think I've seen her do this video. But anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Comment below a book quote that you really like, because I love book quotes, and I kind of struggled finding them. But yeah, give me a quote that you really love from a book. And also subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I hope you'll stick around and watch more videos of mine. So have a great and wonderful day, and enjoy your read. Bye.